This one's for the culture. Me and wifey in the room thinking of a master plan, thinking how we can influence the culture from where we stand. Knowing that our steps are ordered by the master's hand, still 10 toes down, we ain't switching up the stance. The mission of this music ain't just to make them dance, trying to tell them about the rock. Cause they build...
And welcome back to a recap edition of The Bond Chronicles. I am your host, Mr. Bond Chronicles, and I'm blessed to be here with my host,
Mrs. Bond Chronicles.
And we are going to get caught up because the world has been wild. Not just your world, but our world as well. We told you guys we were going away for a short period of time, and boy, what a time it has been. So we're excited to get back, but because you did most of the heavy labor, I will turn it over to you to say, how's your time been since you've been off?
I mean, we had a baby. We didn't just have a baby, we had a big baby. Kobe Bond came. He was 9 pounds, 3 ounces at birth. Yeah, 9 pounds.
No, it was 9? I thought it was 8 and 3.
No, it was 8 and 3 when we left the hospital, but it was 9 and 3 when he came out.
Yeah.
It was long. It was a really long labor. It was kind of awful pushing out a 9-pound baby. I have a friend, I think her son was 10 pounds. And I remember when she told me how heavy, like how big he was, like my heart hurt for her because it's like, oh my God. But now having been through a similar experience, my heart really hurts for her. Can totally understand why you don't want to have any more kids after that. So I definitely, like, there's not a snowball's chance in hell. Because they say they only get bigger as each birth. Mm-hmm.
Why?
I had no idea.
That's weird. Okay.
It is. So at this rate, I'd have like a 12-pound baby next time. So this was the final one for us. We are all done. There will be no more additions to the Bond family unless Bella. Oh, Bella can't have puppies because she's fixed.
We're not doing that anyway.
But it was. I mean, outside of the actual labor part that sucked, everything else was pretty cool. You took great care of me while we were there. Our staff at the hospital, for me, was good. Ray's experience in the hospital, any father's experience in the hospital is always just like an afterthought. But they took really good care of me, despite all of the awful reviews of the hospital that I read prior to. Healing has not been the greatest thing, although I didn't need any stitches, so that's great. I'm tired, super tired. My boobs are sore. But other than that, like, it's just adjusting back to life with a newborn again, which is just crazy because we've got the twins who are 2. And I feel like sometimes, like, maybe my body just didn't get completely back to normal after having the boys. So there are parts of the whole newborn experience that aren't as bad as they would be if it's been like 6 years since I had a kid. It's cool. You know, I love babies. So that part is awesome. If you've seen the pictures that I post on Instagram or Facebook, you know how adorable he is. I think for me, things are a little bit more sentimental this time because I know he's the last one. So there are different things that are like my boobs hurt from him. Like, he's got a latch like a vice grip. And my poor babies, like, they feel it. But I'm not going to stop breastfeeding. Like, this is the last time I'm going to get to do it. And it's like, I do really enjoy breastfeeding. I breastfed Courtney till she was almost 2. The only reason I stopped breastfeeding the boys before they hit 1 is because I just wasn't making enough milk. So I definitely will breastfeed him for a year. And just enjoy all these little moments because I know I'm not going to get them again.
Well,
what about you, Dad?
My experience was different. has been different. And I would say some of this has been a reminder of what it was like last time because I have a weird mind. Like some stuff I remember really, really vivid, and then other stuff I don't be remembering at all. So leading up to the pregnancy, took longer than I wanted, longer than expected. We were supposed to be in December 27th. And that was exciting because that meant double the amount of leave time, paid leave, and taxes. As we go into this new year where there's potential delays in tax returns, there was also the ability to get more money on the taxes for all the fun things we have planned for this year. However, this guy was not with it at all. As she said, we got to the hospital on Thursday.
Yeah, January 6th.
So
he was due on the 27th of December.
And we got the January 6th. And they ended up keeping us. And nothing happened all January 7th. And then we got to January 8th. And it was progress, but it was very slow early on. But as time became, it got closer. Like I had this outfit I was going to wear. It was going to be this whole thing. And he was not with it at all. So they were like, all right, you went through probably like 8,000 different positions. They brought in balls. She sat on the ball. They turned her sideways. There was this peanut. It was just all this different stuff to try and get this guy to get his game in motion. And he had nothing for us.
Yeah.
So finally, things finally got going. And for me, which I was hoping that this would happen like maybe the day before as far as the time frame. But as far as I'm concerned, they wrote down the wrong time, but people be wrong. He was born at 8:24 p.m., not a.m. And for me, obviously, his name being Kobe was super significant for me. Obviously, it was being Kobe's numbers. I have pictures. I'll try and put them up of the time. I got to go through. I got a bunch of pictures for you guys to see that I'm not lying, that it happened. I can't show you the video because it's a little graphic, and this is YouTube, and it was blood everywhere. But other than that, it was it turned out okay. The chair that I slept in for 2 days, I think, sucked. But we made the most of it. We were also fasting.
Yeah.
So the food that came was obviously not that great. And then for me, I can only eat the meat of it, which made it worse.
You couldn't eat the meat.
Oh, I'm sorry, yeah, I couldn't eat the meat. So I had to go and try and make stuff work in an area I'm pretty familiar with, but stuff was closing. Like it was
we had just come past a huge winter storm.
Yes, we were out without power for 3 days. That was fun. Shout out to friends who were able to bring us in and give us shelter in our time of need. One night, I think it got down to like 40. I came back the third day, and I think the house was right around 40 degrees before the heat kicked back in. So thank God for no frozen pipes or anything crazy. But yeah, it was just a lot going on in a very, very short period of time. And to your point, the staff was solid. The doctors seemed like they were cool about it. They had probably the oldest doctor I've ever seen
ever
during the delivery. He didn't really talk at all.
No, it's crazy because like I go to a doctor's office. It's a practice. So I've seen, I think at this point, almost every doctor that works at this practice. We get to the hospital and, to deliver. And I start off with one doctor who I was familiar with. But then comes one, he was tall. I think he was almost 7 feet.
He had to be 6'8" or something. Yeah.
And then he's like super old, like really.
He reminds me of that one guy. I think it's Never Ending Story or one of them. Or Bush Back to the Future. What's the old guy in Back to the Future?
Marty.
Yeah, Marty. He looked like that guy to me. Nice guy. Didn't talk a lot.
He didn't talk a lot, but he was really, really nice. And considering how old I felt he was, like he was thorough. Because when we felt like he wasn't going to come and nothing was happening, like he stuck his hand in there and was doing stuff. And
it was something to see. Man, it was something to see. Like I watched last time, but I was at a different angle. I was like over her shoulder looking down. And this time, like I was trying to catch it. And man, I don't know if that was the best decision. was that. It was a lot. It was a lot. Didn't pass out or nothing like that, but it was different. It was a different experience from that angle. So glad I won't be doing that again. Because that was, and then he didn't even come out while I was standing at that angle for the longest time. So yeah, that was.
I think that's the part that was pissing me off the most, because everybody, obviously, you guys can all see what's happening, and all I can do is feel it. And everyone's just like, we see his head. We see his head. His head is there. And for me, it's just like, well, I feel his head. Why isn't anything coming out so we can be over with this? Like, I pushed for an hour, a good solid hour.
And every like 2 to 3 minutes, or what was it, maybe 5 minutes in between most.
Yeah.
And then we push, 3, 4 pushes at a time.
And nothing was happening. Like,
we could see like he was slow, but it was like slow. And then I think what they were saying, and I didn't really see it. It was like he'd come up and then he'd slide back.
Yeah.
It was just like
it was awful. Like again, like if someone told me I had to have another baby, I'd tell them the devil is a lie, because there's no way in the world. It's not happening.
But she pushed through. She got there, obviously.
Yeah.
And we made it, but it was something. We got out pretty quick. I think we was out the next day.
We told him, we was just like, no, we don't need to stay here another day. Like,
he passed all his tests with flying colors.
You can let us out, because we had him Saturday. We came home Sunday evening.
Yeah.
Got
up out of there. So yeah, it was an experience, but we are happy to be a family of 4 kids, 1 dog, and 2 adults. And we will continue to figure out how to make this thing work as they all get older. As our younger 2 twin boys are now have figured out twice in the last week, we've woken up with them jumping out of their crib and opening the door. One time it was after nap time. We were all in our room just hanging out, and our daughter, and he just, hey, sissy. Like,
what?
Who let him out?
Nobody. So that's going to be interesting. Figure out our housing situation here shortly, because we were already tight. Yeah. But now that he's actually here,
and Lord knows if with the apparent energy he has, with the other 2 and their energy, dog be going through it. The daughter too, because now they found out how to get in her room. We've had some experiences when it's been real quiet and we show up in her room. It's not what it looked like when she went to school. There's stuff everywhere.
Much to her dismay.
So yeah, it's been an experience for us, and we're just gonna keep working through it.
All blessings, though. We are so happy.
And so, kind of with us bringing new life and a new adventure to us, we had a cultural event end on TV, a show that we've followed. We've talked about a good amount here.
I feel like we never talk about it.
You never talk about Insecure in here?
No, not really.
I mean, I don't know. Did they have seasons when we were started? Okay. I feel like
this one started and ended before we could even get back on the thing.
So we did want to get into that. I think it's important.
Of course.
Allow you to give your perspective. We probably have different perspectives on how the last season went, but Mrs. Bond Chronicles, please take it away. How did you feel about the Insecure ending?
I'm still sad, for one, that it's over.
I was like, it ended happy.
Oh, no, yeah, it ended happy. I mean, depending if you were Team Lawrence or Team Nathan. I mean, I was Team Nathan. Like,
of course you were.
I wanted Nathan to win. It's just, there are shows that you watch that like resonate with you. You understand the characters, you relate to the characters. Like it's like you're watching your life on TV. And Insecure was definitely one of those shows, not just for me, but for a whole plethora of people. Like, it came on to the air and it just took over. It completely changed, I think, and shifted the way that Black comedy,
it's more of a dramedy, right?
Yeah, scripted drama TV has to look. from the clothes they wear to their hair to
Music.
the lighting to the music. Just everything about the show was about us. It was for us. I don't know if you've watched it, but they had a special.
The recap.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I watched it. It's like an hour long. And even still, like Issa and Prentice, they go through and they talk about how important it was for the show to be for us. Like, yeah, white people can watch, other people can watch, but the show was for us. And I think it's been a really long time since we've had a show that felt like that.
Without being extra.
Without being extra and without having to try to entertain white people at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's really bittersweet that it's over, but I did enjoy how they ended the season, ended the series. Like I said, I was Team Nathan. I wanted her to pick Nathan. I thought Nathan was better because Lawrence, one, he had a break, baby. Two, it had just been so much. I did not think that their characters were quote unquote strong enough or grown up enough to get past everything that they had been through. But I did appreciate the growth that they showed in the characters in the last season. I mean, really in the last episode.
Yeah.
Because before
they went through like 4 years.
Yeah, because by the time the party thing happened and Lawrence pulled a Dwayne Wayne and was like, I'm trying to get my girl back, bro.
It's a little different.
Nah, I mean, a little different, but it's
actually kind of a lot different. The one was at a wedding, at the altar, and the other was at a party.
I mean, it's pretty similar,
but
though.
Like the
it's
concept,
a big dramatic.
Okay,
like I'm getting my girl back at this huge public event. Like all of our friends.
It was supposed to be in private. You tried to pull her aside. Also.
Yeah, but that didn't happen. And then all our friends are here, mutual.
Yeah, that's true.
It's very similar.
Okay.
He even had a light-skinned bestie come and pull him back, That's definitely what happened. What is Tiffany's husband's name?
I don't know. He's not the most important.
He's not, but I wish I knew his name for this instance right now.
You can look it up.
It's just everything about it. It was just so great. I liked how in the end they did touch on. They still found time to touch on things that are going on in the Black community. Derek?
And Derek?
Yeah. Derek. With Molly's mom having the seizure. What does she have? A stroke. Seizure. Having the stroke.
Both are bad. Both can be bad.
And them touching on estate planning. That is something that we don't really talk about it a lot in the Black community.
Who knew that was Tiff's job?
Kelly?
The Kelly. What I call it? I can't stand Tiff.
I don't know. I did. Remember when, in like 3 seasons ago, Issa went to Kelly's office to try to talk about her finances and getting herself together. Yeah. Do you remember that? No.
I mean, I did, but the way in which they framed it made her character way more valuable after her character died.
Right.
Which is fitting. She does estate planning, but she's dead. But yeah, continue.
Talking about estate planning, and just the reality that her dad had when he was looking at the sum of his life on paper and how he worked his whole life and there was not a whole lot that he was going to be leaving behind for his kids. I've seen that. I've experienced it in my own family. Just all these things that you don't want to talk about, want to think about, but then you get to a point where, dang, you should have figured those sorts of things out and they were not prepared. And then her mom passing away, heartbreak. I also, even though I was Team Nathan, I definitely, I was happy that his character chose his mental health over the toxicity of dealing with Issa. He realized everything about this relationship is triggering for me. From your being indecisive to just everything that we've gone through in such a short amount of time. I can't deal with this. And a lot of people, unfortunately, will continue in the toxic state and end up in, the worst way because they're not listening to what's best for them. So I did appreciate Nathan making the decision that he made, even though I thought it sucked at the time because I wanted him and Issa to be together, but whatever. I liked how they showed the successful, although it started off really rocky, relationship between him and Condola, trying to co-parent and them trying to figure out how that worked. And then the consistent theme of the last season was learning to live with and accept the choices that you make. Like the entire season. And I mean, for most part, the entire show was them making decisions that were or were not the best for them at the time, and then dealing with the consequences of what those decisions had. And to see everybody, I guess, end at a point where they were okay, they were secure in the decisions that they were making. They were more, I guess, on firm footing and just accepting the way that their lives were turning out and growing as people. Like, I thought it was all dope. Just great ending to a great show. I'm sad that it's over. I hope Issa comes back with something even more dope. Like, yeah.
Cool. I agree with most of what you said. Obviously, I was rooting for Lawrence. Nathan, to me, he struggled in a relationship. I can only imagine if they would have had kids together, what that would have looked like. You can't just go disappearing when you're a dad, or when stress happens. I don't think that after that situation, Lawrence was, even had you picked Nathan, I don't think Lawrence would have been gone because there's still a circle of friends. So I think it would have been awkward for quite some time. I did appreciate the argument that Lawrence and Condola had. I thought it was good to see that, but done in a somewhat tactful way. Because a lot of times when there's Black animosity, it always looks a certain type of way, or the woman looks a certain type of way.
Yeah.
And it wasn't that. Overall, I didn't have a lot to complain about. I thought I didn't like how quickly they sped through everything, but I understood it. And I didn't like Molly's mom die. I feel like they could have done without that. I feel like she should have been at the wedding. I just feel like they could have transitioned it. We got the point when she had the stroke and she had the estate planning. I wanted her mom to be there to see that. At the party when her and I can't think of dude's name did the edibles, I thought that was hilarious. Yeah, I thought that was really, really funny. I thought that was well done.
Really funny.
Nothing really was forced. I really appreciate finally getting to see Kelly in her role. I wished we would have saw more of her throughout this series. But she became a much more of a staple in the final season, which is good. I would love to see a spinoff. I would like to see a spinoff of all of them the way Power's doing, but I doubt we'll get that. But no, ultimately, I was impressed. I was happy with the way everything ended. Awkward that they ended together with, raising the other kid. Or was that supposed to be their kid?
No, that
was him and Condola's kid.
Yeah,
Condola's kid.
Condola.
So whatever. The other thing in the hospital where he starts fighting, beating up the baby. Also was really good.
Funny. All of those little flash moments where it was just Issa like being stupid. Yeah. All of those were really good. Especially, this baby.
Yeah. And then to see success in the end, because not often enough do we see success. Everybody really ended up being successful, even in moving away. I don't know how happy Nathan was, but I think he made peace with it. But
no, he was glowed up. Like sounded like his shop was doing good, and he brought her a gift, so he wasn't broke. Like he looked good. Like
okay.
Everybody was happy.
I guess we'll go with that. We'll go with everyone was happy. And so really for me, Molly was one of my favorite characters. I thought she got a bad press at the end of season before last.
But she deserved that.
No, she didn't.
Yes,
and we didn't talk about that here, but she did not. She was not wrong. Issa consistently did a bunch of grimy stuff for season after season, including to Nathan in the last season, where he's like, I'm supposed to be one with the disorder and you're all over the place, which she was.
Last season.
It was this past season.
Oh, this last season.
Yeah. And so, yeah, ultimately everybody ended up happy, moved on together for the most part. So I was good with it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You had something else? Because we got quite a lot to get to.
No, yeah, that was it. Like, I really enjoyed it. I'm sad that it's over. I follow her and her production company and her radio.
What's her production company for the people?
Issa Presents.
Okay. I mean, just so people know that's watching. They can go follow as well.
On Instagram, yeah. And then the radio, RayDaBest. It's like music stuff.
She has a music company?
Not a music company, but it's like, I don't know what you call it. Like, they curate music stuff.
Okay.
Hold on. I mean, you can continue while I look it up.
No, it's kind of like, you know, your thing. But while we look that up.
Yeah, the radio.
The radio.
And audio everywhere.
RAEDIO.
Yeah, like radio. Like Issa Rae radio.
Yeah, but people can't see that.
Oh, yeah.
And I would have been looking for radio.
Radio, RADIO.
Right. So there you have it. Definitely shout out to her. Look forward to all the great things she has coming and the big deal she got. And in another, it wasn't shocking, but it was a big deal. The 3 killers of Ahmad Aubrey were all found guilty of almost all of their charges. I think the one guy that was driving, he missed out on 2 of them. But more than likely, they will spend the rest of their lives in prison. 2 got life in prison. The other one got, 40 years, I think it was?
Yeah. Well, no, I think they all got life. But the father and the son, they got life without possibility of parole. And the driver got life with...
Was it? Okay.
I think so.
We can fact check that as we kind of go through. But obviously, a big step. I think it was... For me, it's the epitome of white supremacy that you would videotape said event. Like, I would think most people would know, like, once you've made a decision to murder someone, you should probably not have video of it. And to that point, I was watching the Kevin Hart and Wesley Snipes limited series, I guess you would call it. And the key situation, they spent like 2 episodes trying to get someone to delete the video. And so for them to have this video months after it happened, it's just idiocy. Like, thank God you did it. Like, I'm very appreciative that you were an idiot and videoed the murder and kept the tape for people to see and pass it around for people to make it go viral. But ultimately, it doesn't bring him back. It doesn't bring Ahmad back at all. But there was a semblance of justice. There's a new Supreme Court justice seat available, and President Biden has said that it will be filled by a Black woman. So I'm optimistic that he's doubled down on that. So it has to happen, I would think. But hopefully this is a sign of things between George Floyd, Ahmad. Obviously, there's a bunch of people that did not get justice. But my hope is, as I've watched different things in different states continue to evolve, it's progress.
It is. It's most certainly.
And so I don't want to poop on that and get inundated with all the bad that has happened, because it is progressing. Slowly, but it is progressing. So happy days are here for the verdict, and hopefully, we'll get to see Ahmad someday in the future.
Yeah, so,
in heaven, when we all die.
Oh, okay. That didn't, okay. Yeah. Travis McMichael and Gregory McMichael were sentenced to life in prison without parole, and the neighbor, William Roddy Bryan, was sentenced to life with the possibility of parole. So I'm happy that they were sentenced the way that they were, considering everything the defense did to try to minimize really what that attack was. They tried to make it as though those three men had every right to do what they did when they didn't. And this is definitely, I think, like you said, a stepping stone to show people that it's not okay. It's not ever going to be okay again, especially not in today's world where everything is so much more visible. There are so many more people who care, who aren't just going to let things like this happen and there's no consequences. There are way too many names, too many people to list who have not gotten justice. So it feels good to see one person get some form of justice, even though this is not going to bring Ahmad back.
Yeah. Hopefully we will go through this again, but I guess the most we can hope for in this country, in this world where hate does exist, is that people will be held accountable. The same way in inner cities, people are held accountable. We want to see the same thing when there are hate crimes, and they should be tried and charged as hate crimes.
Hate crimes, yeah.
So no, a win there. So even in his passing, some positivity that can come from it. But on the passing tip, it was a tough, I guess, fourth quarter, early first quarter. And this is something that recently, and maybe by the time this is released, we'll have more clarity on Tom Brady. But I was having a conversation with some people, and I think I'm getting to an age where a lot of my childhood heroes are either retiring or just getting old. And so we've had the year ended with a bunch of really, really influential passings in fashion and media and entertainment. So I know you wanted to highlight some, and I may have a couple to add depending on who you go with, but you don't want to take anything for granted. And some of these people were younger, some of them were older, but it's just really, really tough to see the people that you modeled yourself after or idolized, as we just had the 2-year anniversary of Kobe Bryant's passing, and people that influenced your culture in such a way, people that opened doors that they may have never been able to walk through because of certain people. When those people pass, it's tough. And prayers to all the families of the people we'll touch on here, but it can provide some solace knowing that if what you know where they're going, but even in that, naturally you feel away. So I know you wanted to kind of share on kind of some of the impacts you've had, but I did just kind of want to preface what it was a tough end of the year. While we were going through the baby stuff and bringing life, there was a lot of unfortunate, big, significant death that did take place.
Mm-hmm. I guess the first person, and this was like right before the end of the year, Betty White, obviously passed away just shy of her 100th birthday. It was real, and it's not even necessarily that her passing away was really sad. It was more of a like, geez.
She made it so close to 100.
I mean, one, she definitely did. She made it really close to 100. But what am I doing with my life? When I pass away, how will people talk about me? How will people remember me? She lived a very, very long, full life. I watched this thing on Netflix about her, I think maybe 2 or 3 years ago. And one thing that she said a few times in the documentary was basically, I've lived, I think at that point she was like 90 something. Mm-hmm. She's like, I've lived a really long life. And so technically I probably should already be gone. So every year that I get after this point, it's just bonus. It's just more life that I get to love and enjoy and be around people who love me and be around people that I love, and just enjoy the time that I have here left. And that's really important because we listen to Mike Todd and the message of
and shout out to Mike Todd for all you haters out there.
for sure. I listen to Mike Todd. His message of the year is "Here is holy," and the big part of the core of this message is that everyone, especially in today's day and age, we're all so focused on getting to the next part of life. When we get to the next job, when we get to the next level, when I get to this place, I'm going to be this way. I'm going to be this happy because this is where I am. But we're not enjoying the moment that we're living in now. We're not enjoying the blessings and even the struggles of where we are right now in preparation for the place that we're going to be. And for me, that has struck really a strong chord in me because for the last year and a half, almost 2 years, my mind has been focused on the next thing. What can I do to get to this place so that we can live this way? And then you see someone like Betty White pass away, and it's just like she lived an entire lifetime of just all these great moments. But her biggest point was she enjoyed the moments that she was in when she was in them. And I think that's a lesson that everybody can kind of take away because of the way that the world is so fast paced now. We don't enjoy life while we're living it enough. So that was, for me, it was sad, but it was just like, it sucks that she's gone, but she lived an awesome life. Did you want to say anything about Betty?
No, I kind of alluded to it, just her impact on our culture and the decisions she made to allow certain people on her platform that she had. And she used that really up until the end. And obviously we are a very pro-Black podcast, but I do understand and appreciate that white people have a role, even in the ending of slavery. Yes, they had a negative role, but there were also white people in Ahmad's case and a lot of these cases that did play a role. And so for people that were willing to sacrifice or use their privilege and use their opportunities, Skip Bayless is another one. I don't think gets enough credit for this.
Yeah.
I really appreciate and support those people. So for her to do it back when it was super unpopular all the way through and to be genuine, like, I just really, really appreciate that.
Facts. Another one that was big was Sidney Poitier. He was...
It was like in the same week, right?
Technically, yeah. Like, he made it to the new year.
Yeah.
Betty didn't.
Right.
If you've never watched a Sidney Poitier movie, do yourself a favor, go back and watch. Like, In the Heat of the Night is one of my favorites. Guess Who's Coming to Dinner is a really great one. Raisin in the Sun is a play that was turned into a movie, and I just think the acting is over the top, but it's because originally they were on stage and doing it as a play, so it's a little extra,
right.
But it's just, he was an amazing actor, and he opened the door for any, like, Will Smith, Denzel Washington, Don Cheadle. Like, there would not really be Black actors as we see them today had it not been for Sidney Poitier. He refused to take roles that were just, I'm the driver, or he made so many decisions and he did so many things activist wise that really just helped Black folks. Didn't really hear anything about him later on in his life, but when he was younger and still virile and all of that, like, he was just an amazing person to listen to. All those years of knowledge and experience, those are the kind of people, like, you just let them talk and then you listen to them talk about life the way that they saw it and see it through the years of experience that they had. That was really sad to hear him passing away. But again, another person who lived a really long, I think it was 98 when he passed, 98 or 99.
It was up there.
Yeah. Lived a very, very long life. He got to do amazing things with amazing people. Does it say?
It doesn't give a number. I would have to do math. Keep going.
Yeah, it was great. the career that he had and the influence that he had over
94.
94, okay. Over Hollywood. I think he was one of the first black actors to do a love scene with a white woman in a movie. And he almost got, I think he got death threats for it and
I
all
can
kinds,
imagine.
yeah, all kinds of things. But he never let any of that deter him from just playing and always giving an outstanding performance in everything that he did. So that was kind of a big deal for him to pass away. I always used to get him and Harry Belafonte mixed up, even though they look completely different.
I was going to ask how that.
Yeah, they look completely different, but they both were acting around the same time and doing a lot of the same similar things. And influence wise, that's where I mixed them up. But look wise, like they look completely different. Anything to say about Mr. Poitier?
No, I mean, an icon in the field, like you said, opened a ton of doors, took pride in it, stayed responsible in it. Like, great.
Great. I guess for me, the last person who passed away recently, who had a huge impact on me, was Virgil Abloh. Like, as a budding streetwear fashion designer, it was completely random. We just woke up one day and see on Instagram, Off-White founder, designer, all these accolades about him is gone. And I was like, that's not right. That can't be correct. And sure enough, you go to his page and they posted it on his Instagram page. And then, of course, all the news media sources.
I think Louis Vuitton had put it out first.
Yeah, Louis Vuitton put it out first. It was just really, really sad. One, because he was so young. He was 42, 43?
Yeah, because I think he's younger than Kanye.
His 40s. Died in his 40s. And it's just another reminder that he passed away from a rare form of cancer.
41.
41? Okay. It's just like you never know what people are going through behind closed doors. Like earlier last year, he'd signed huge deals. He'd done all these different things. And you're just like, man, he's setting himself up to really do some stuff. And then he passes away. And it's like, oh no, he sold all that off to make sure that probably his family would be fine after he's gone. And it was just really, really sad to me. Just the impact that he had on fashion. And I can only imagine the things that he still had planned to do in the fashion world. Just an unfortunate loss. And I can only imagine, obviously, how his wife and his children, just all these people who were connected to him outside of fashion and shoes, how they were impacted by his passing.
No, this one, I guess, for me might have been more, culturally relevant just because I've enjoyed shoes. I've enjoyed street culture and fashion since I can remember. For those of you who are old enough, back when Platinum FUBU was a thing, FUBU in itself was a thing.
FUBU in itself.
S. Carter, just the whole. If you live in DC, where city fashion is a thing, like that's kind of always been me. My mom's from DC, so I've always kind of had that. And so for him to be a dark blackface, that
he wasn't even light skinned. Right?
No, like he was
black.
And so for him to break through in that industry is just what dreams are made of. And I'm not going to be that guy either here. I have been critical of, him at times. The Kanye situation I thought was tough, but ultimately, similar to how I feel about LeBron and Kobe, if the person I'm a bigger supportive of supports them, who am I to be upset about it? And so just what he did is continues to live on to this day. Louis Vuitton's been handing out shoes in different cool orange boxes and stuff. Off-White is Off-White. It is now a staple in the culture and supplanted a lot bigger staples.
Yeah.
It might be outside of Yeezy one of the biggest streetwear staples
at this point.
At this time.
I think it is, especially. I mean, it's unfortunate that he passed and it's had that influence.
Right.
But now that he's passed away, like it's even bigger than what it was.
So we went. I remember we went to the store, the Off-White store. Where was we at?
In
Vegas. And it's good to see someone celebrated while they're here. And I think really everyone that we've touched on today has had that. They got a chance to be celebrated in their time. And he was obviously prepping for the big Louis Vuitton release. And that went really well from the picture and things that I saw
in Miami.
In Miami. So just shout out to him and the deals he made in place. And to your point, and I was actually going to say the same thing, is we criticize people a lot of times when we see them doing things or acting a way that we don't understand, and we just don't understand. And so for him, it just is one of those things. Chadwick was another one that you don't know what people are going through. And I remember they killed Chadwick because he had a picture. He was super skinny.
Sickly looking.
And we had no idea what he was going through just to produce the movies and all the things he was doing behind the scenes. But tabloids and things were just focusing on negative. And we'll get to them in a minute. But shout out to Virgil. Thank you for your impact, your influence. And, hopefully I'm sure there's plenty in the pipeline to be the next you. But you reached the bar. The most valuable fashion house in the world had you as its creative director for men's clothing. And in a lot of ways, you influenced all the other aspects of their business. So definitely shout out to him.
Those were my things that were significant to me while we've been on this break. So
cool. Mine, hopefully we'll get through. And thank you for, you guys riding with us through this. But Mr. Kanye West, the right hand, the left hand man, I don't know what you call it. So if you're someone's right hand man, are they your left hand man? Is that a thing?
I don't know, actually. I would have, because it's not left hand man. I don't feel like that's ever used.
But it makes sense.
It doesn't.
How does it not make sense?
Because it just doesn't.
If I say, you're my right hand man, that means I'm to the left of you.
Even still, no.
That's the thing now.
It's
just
not
know
a thing.
It's a thing. I'm an innovator like Virgil. It's a thing. So Virgil's left hand man, Kanye West. I think it was Kanye before we went away.
No, it's not the left hand, because it's rude to shake hands with someone using their left hand.
So you both right hand mans of one another?
Yeah.
That seems silly. Whatever. But in the time we've been out, I don't know that a day has passed that Ye has not been trending for something. So obviously I've been a huge proponent of his. I've given him thousands of dollars in my life.
Yeah, we just got a new set of Yeezys the other day.
Yes, there was a push gift for those of you who were really concerned about the push gifts. I still haven't gotten one. For those of you who might be listening and were critical of men getting one, but she did get one, which were a pair of Yeezys to something I already had. So yes, we have gotten Yeezy since we have been gone. That is correct. Just for clarity on that piece of information. So yeah, I've been a fan. Probably at this point, my favorite rapper, maybe of my lifetime. I think at this point he's probably surpassed Lil Wayne. As Wayne has aged, I appreciate all that he's done, but he's just not my favorite any longer. I don't look for him like I look for Ye, who has an album set to be on the way, but I wouldn't hold my breath because you'd probably die if you think we're getting an album on February 22nd. But I'll run through this pretty quickly. But first, we had the baby situation. We didn't actually talk about much of this as it was going on, and that could have been for a good reason. But Based on the reports, there was supposed to be 2 different birthday parties. As Kim has moved on and as Ye has moved on as well with dating other people, 2 white people, ironically enough, there was a birthday party for, I think it was Chicago. And in this time, allegedly, they were supposed to have 2 separate parties, but Ye went on social media to let everyone know that he was not given the location to the birthday party that Kim was throwing. There's been a bunch of spin and publish games that have been going on really since the Drink Champs interview, but a bunch of stuff started circulating afterwards. And so my thoughts were, I believe, and we've talked about, if we ever get divorced, we would probably not be at each other's kids' birthday parties, but hopefully that won't happen. But I believe either parent should have access to come to the birthday party. And I think the really frustrating part about celebrity beef is that there are kids involved. And it sucks. Like, it's salacious and it can be entertaining to hear about the drama, but it also sucks that the drama is happening, especially when it's centered around the kids. And so that to me is really what made this kind of tough. And then, of course, you get on the internet and everybody got an opinion and everybody's trolling and carrying along. And that doesn't help either. But I do hope, as they got 4 kids, there will be 3 more birthday parties and birthday parties going forward, that there is better communication. You shouldn't need your sister's boyfriend or baby daddy, whatever you want to call him, to send the address. I feel like there's better ways to communicate when you're as popular and as rich as they both are. But I did feel away as someone who historically, and there's people in some of the other group chats I'm in a lot of group chats now I think about it. I've been a big Kim advocate for a long time. In the way in which she supported him, at times he was tripping or more so misunderstood. Because I don't believe he's really tripped, in my opinion, but that's a conversation for another day. But it's been enlightening to see kind of how this has played out, as it started out as such a amicable divorce, and we hang out and we talk, and she's going to his shows and he's going to SNL, and they're just going through, and we were wondering, when the heck are they getting divorced? Or is this all a ploy? It is not that anymore. There's definitely drama. There have been a diss record made towards Pete Davidson, which I think was grossly overblown by media. But I also would say I've also been someone that stood by TMZ and what they report and the way in which I've seen them report this situation. I'm pretty sure the Kardashians have a huge ownership stake in TMZ, because the way in which some of these stories are being written is just really disgusting. And I get why people don't like tabloids, because these are real life people with real life emotions, and someone who, by all accounts, has had a history of mental health, and they've done nothing to alleviate that in these circumstances and the way in which things are being written. So he's had a heck of a run here recently. I thought I liked the song. I'm not gonna lie to you. It trended relatively well. I did not think that the Pete diss was so inflammatory. I heard Charlemagne come out and say, "How can you be a man of God and say this?" Do you listen to what people say? Do you watch what they do? Like,
Charlemagne's a clown. Like,
he is huge in the industry. So shout out to you for getting how you got there. But shut up, bro. Like, stop. And so I also will say it has been very interesting. And I guess we're guilty of it here in this moment. So many people are using him to try and advance their prospective careers or their perspective, whatever. And I would say we're different because I'm coming from, I would like to believe, a more positive, supportive angle, not feeding the fire of negativity. Like, it's just been really, really something to see with them. And I hope that the parenting piece and the family piece can chill out, and that she can go on. She just got new funding for Skims. They can do great business. They're apparently co-owners of all of each other's businesses, which also,
I think that's one of the things that's holding up the divorce. Because if they're dissolving everything,
right,
like, I don't want to go to work or have to work and have to talk to you about a company that I don't want you to own anymore. Yeah. So I think that's probably the thing that's taking some time.
Yeah, I don't disagree. But yeah, that's kind of my big piece. And then obviously Kanye seemingly admitted to knocking out a fan. I don't know that that's the best legal move, but when you got that much money, I guess you don't really care. But the fact that you joked about that was a little off-putting. Not gonna lie, I don't think that was really necessary. Granted, the person was apparently going to take advantage of him and sell his autograph, but that's the way the world works. People do the same thing with your shoes. I've done it. So you can't just go around knocking people out just because they're gonna, sell your stuff. But do you have any thoughts on Mr. Ye and what he's been going through?
I feel bad for the man. Like, it's just a lot. Divorce is nasty. Even when it's amicable, whatever, it still sucks. There's just a lot of emotions. There's a lot of feelings, and you go through a whole lot to get from being happily married to we're getting divorced. I don't want to be with you anymore. And I think for me, watching him, publicly, very publicly say, like, I don't want the divorce. I don't want to lose my family. I come from a broken home. Like, this isn't how I want my kids to grow up. To now, I'm on social media live talking about how I can't get access to my kids.
Security stopping me from seeing my kids.
That's a big deal, especially for someone who is an involved parent. You can say whatever you want about Kanye being crazy or whatever you want to call it, but at the end of the day, he is still a parent. Those are his kids who he's never had, to think about setting up an appointment or anything like that to have access to them. And so now it seems like there was no defined custodial agreement or how they were handling things now that it's not so sweet. And so for me, I think it's totally understandable. Even if we said we're having 2 birthday parties, if I say I want to come to the birthday party, right, I'm coming to the birthday party. Like, I don't feel like that's a discussion that really needs to be had. And for Kanye, it's like, why can't I come? Fine, Pete's there. Pete's going to be there. You dating this clown. You're dating this clown. It's got nothing to do with me being a present and participating parent. So I thought that was real childish and foolish of the Kardashians. Because then as soon as everything gets solved, you see the Kardashian media wheel just going out to spin the story. And now all of a sudden, nobody knew that Kanye wanted to come to the party, and we hadn't discussed. Like, okay, fine. If that's the story you guys want to tell, it's the story you want to tell. Like you said, I don't like that it's getting ugly because at least North is old enough. Like, she's on TikTok now, and much to Kanye's dismay, he doesn't want her on TikTok. She's old enough. She's got her own cell phone. She can see, the things that people are saying about her dad. She can see the things people are saying about her mom. So it's all unfortunate that it's going to play out in the media the way that it seems like it's going to play out. I hope that they can get back on one accord, especially involving the kids. But considering who we're dealing with, they probably won't. So I'm sure there'll be more stories and more things that come out that are embarrassing. I mean, to tell you the truth, it's all embarrassing to me. So I can only imagine how embarrassing it is for them. Kanye gonna be Kanye though. And the interesting thing about this that I don't think the Kardashians really fully thought through was that he's not just gonna be quiet.
Right.
Like all of their other exes. Like, nobody heard anything from Chris Humphries after him and Kim got divorced after they were married for 3 months.
72 days, I believe.
Yeah. Scott, he's still pretty tame because he's still on payroll. Everybody, even Lamar has come out now talking about how
real
great
desperate.
Chloe was the great love of his life and all these things. And it's just like, they haven't had to deal with an ex like Kanye, because you're not going to just put a muzzle on Kanye and he's not just going to say what you want him to say. So I would advise him to stop pissing him off. But, and he
said as much in his Hollywood Unlocked video.
He did.
He said, y'all can keep playing. Don't mess with me and my kids. And I don't know how anyone can negatively take that. Like,
because everybody, like, if you're a parent, when you're a parent, when you have children, like everybody has that same sentiment.
but that's the thing. But a lot don't. I think that's the other part. A lot of people don't.
Oh well, we ain't them.
Yeah, agreed.
It's not ever just gonna be cool for you to think that you're gonna play around with my kids. Just it's not. And I totally feel Kanye on that. Yeah. Like there's not a day that it's never gonna be cool. So yeah. I feel for him.
But along that news, he's been busy in music. Had a New Year's party with Future, Justin LaBoy, and him have been running around like crazy. And someone else that apparently at a Balenciaga store in Miami he shot a video with was the great, I guess we'll call her, Cardi B. Apparently there's music coming, and I will admit I didn't think Cardi would have lasting power.
She just won't go away
in this industry, but she is leveled up and leveled up and leveled up and keeps leveling up. She's giving her husband $1 million checks or $2 million checks. I'm not sure how much it was. She made the statement that being rich is boring or something to that effect, which you got to be pretty rich for it to get boring. She's met with, President Biden when he was running. So
Bernie Sanders, like she's just become a very iconic force for this generation.
In a lot of ways, it set the blueprint. She's one of, I think, the first people that I believe got into music, and in so many ways, it's gotten out. Like she's put out a couple singles with other people. She's done a couple feature verses. I think she just has the one album still, and there seems to be no indication that a new album's coming. Like she might, like I said, hop on the verse or something, but we may never get another Cardi album because she don't need it. And by all accounts, the money's not there. But we do this. And we just went through, the Kim and Kanye and Ye situation. We've talked about a bunch of people's situations. And as I said, I think where we are different is we typically stay away from the ultra negative and ultra slanderous, trashy stuff. And I can't remember the lady's name. Tasha K. Has gotten pretty wealthy off of it, or I'll call it rich. I don't know her money. I don't count her pockets, but it has come at a cost, and the cost is $3.5 million in her defamation suit against Cardi. And it was reported that as of, I believe, September, Cardi offered, I think it was like $100,000 or maybe it was 75 grand. And she was like, no, like, I'm not paying.
She thought she was going to win the case.
And then Cardi had to take like the STD test, or is that what you call it?
Yeah.
Basically. And it came out and it was negative. And she just kept going. And it was like Jussie. We talked about Juicy Smouye. Like there's a point where you got to cut your losses. And I've heard other people say the key to being a liar is you got to stick to the lie. But there comes a breaking point where I don't know her money situation, but I would have much rather pay, I think it was like $75,000 over $4 million. Like that's not even and if plus like fees. Him, like I think the legal fees got it up because it was, I think 1.9, and then with legal it jumped to the 3. But with him, you lying. With her, you know you're lying. So why are you just like, for what you're worth, you're successful in your field. Like you clearly have accomplished a lot. You lying. So just stop lying on this lady. Like, and she, by all accounts, is not the one. You talked about the Kardashians not want to mess with Ye. Cardi will say what Cardi feels, whether it's publicly correct or not. So that's not the one.
Politically correct.
What did I say? Publicly? Yeah, not politically correct. Like she's not the one to go after because she's made it very clear. I got time. And then she got up there, and I'm not saying she's lying, but the idea that she was like at the lowest point of her life because of the stuff that's being said, she gonna sell it. And yes, and Tasha came out after the fact and said, this is big business and brands behind her. Yeah, there are. So no, you're not just slandering Cardi. you're slandering all of those potential brands as well who want to defend investment.
But even within her saying that, because like I think out of everything that she said since the verdict came out, that portion annoyed me the most. Because it's like, yes, Cardi is a brand, and there are big businesses, big brands behind her. But they're behind her because they support her. They're behind her because they believe in her brand, which you were trying to destroy with your lies. And the fact that you keep doubling down on the lie that you keep telling, just that doesn't make sense. Like, there's nothing about any of the situation for you that makes sense. Nobody's attacking you because they want to bring down a small Black business owned woman. Like, they didn't care about you until you started lying about Cardi. And then the fact that she gave you an out.
She gave you an out.
She gave you a clear out. All she wanted you to do was stop talking about her and apologize. Say that the crap that you were saying was not true. You didn't have a source. There was no
and you can spend
credibility behind what you were saying. And you couldn't do that. This isn't like some David and Goliath type thing. Like you're trying to look like a victim and you're not the victim here. Like, that's the part that really pissed me off.
Yeah. So shout out to Cardi. Congratulations on your win. Some of that stuff was none of our business to begin with. What if it was true or not, wasn't our business. And the fact that it was just a lie, like, you got to be a certain type of person to just flagrantly lie about people, and then to this extent. So I'm glad the suit came out, and for her to be a small and Cardi to be big, that's a big number.
It is,
because normally you would think, oh, the super celebrity, they're not going to get much. Like $4 million basically is a lot of money, and if that puts her out of business or whatever happens, you did it to yourself. Congratulations, you played yourself.
Yeah.
The last piece, and people playing themselves, Mr. Antonio Brown. I don't know who's advising you.
No one's advising him.
I don't know. And he got on TV or some interview with a lawyer. He was on, I think it was on Brian Gumbel. So you're going on a media tour similar to Jamie Lynn. You say you put out your little song, which I can promise you that's probably not being listened to any longer. You say you got an album coming with Ye. More power to you. But some people just can't get out of their own way. And you've now belittled people in the mental health community when people are trying to give you a pass. You've messed up your bag so many times. It started by just not paying somebody a couple $1,000s, and you got suspended game checks, which cost you 10, 20 times as much. Like, just epic, bad, continual decision-making. And we talked about the kids aspect. He got kids.
Lots of them. And
I can't think that when you're throwing your pads on the sideline, even if you felt disrespected, which by all accounts you really weren't, and you've been very wishy-washy on why you was pissed off, your kids got to answer for some of this stuff. Or you're raising them and showing them how to act. And you're rich, so you kind of get away with it to a certain extent. If they are not as rich as you, they could find themselves in a whole lot of trouble. If they start doing this on a practice field in JV, middle, high school, or college, they're not tolerating it, even with the NIL stuff.
Probably won't play sports. And real talk, like, it is the stain that he's leaving with his legacy. That's going to touch them if they decided to play sports.
100%. I definitely agree with you. And to that point, you've blown a lot of money that you're trying to get recouped. Like, you had, if you could have been cool for a week, you would have got $30 million guaranteed from the Raiders. You couldn't make it a week. Tom Brady was going to get you the extra $1 million because he did it for Gronk and he did it for you the year before, and you just couldn't deal with it. And so I hope you think that, or I hope it works out for you to a certain extent, but then I think that would validate the behavior, which who knows what's coming next. But just really, really disappointing. Somebody who's been a fan of his on the field for a long time, defended him to a certain extent, even when he was in Pittsburgh. Like, it's been hard to watch. And then when you start, just from a principle standpoint, no black, no white, for what Tom Brady did for you, and now you've tried to backtrack off that.
He's pissed all over Tom.
Like, that's just not the route to go. So if I'm any other player, and Tom's reputation amongst players is A1. It gets no better with players than what Tom has done. So for you to go at him the way you went about it so publicly, I hope it work out for you. I don't see you running around with Ye as much, who said he ain't got no phone because he's trying to finish an album. So whatever happens, happens, bro. If somebody bring you in next year, more power to you. But clown of the year for me.
More like a decade. Like it's in the sports world, who's messed up the bad worst?
You're right. You're right. It's been a long time since anybody can even be close. T.O. had issues, but that was more so
off the field.
That was
private
off the field, more private. This has been publicly broadcast, and with that incident on the field, we're gonna be watching that for years and years to come.
Like he's probably, if he makes it into the Hall of Fame, and that's at this point, it's a really big if,
and that's a huge if because now they care. That stuff you're doing matters.
Now matters. Like
we just watched Barry Bonds not get in.
Fame, like it's not even gonna. It's not going to
Who's going to do his speech?
Way exactly. It's not going to hit the way that it should have, considering the athlete that he is. And that's again, when you get to the other side of life, when you're older and you start thinking about how people are going to remember you, how people will talk about you after you're gone. These are the things. These are the headlines. Like, unfortunately, like when people pass on, like. It's not always, oh, they were this wonderful person. Right. Oh, they were this. Oh, they were that.
We've talked about some that passed in this episode in their legacy. And this is becoming way more of your legacy than your performance.
Anything else has. And that's the part that sucks. So, I want to feel bad for him. Like, originally when they had the whole mental health thing going, I thought, okay, that makes a lot of sense how he's acting. But now, the more he opens his mouth, the worse he makes it.
Yeah. So, it's been a lot. I know there are a number of things we didn't cover.
A lot of things we didn't
cover, but we are back. So look forward to us next Monday at noon. Excuse me.
February 7th, we are officially back.
It'll be next regular Monday.
Yeah, February 7th.
Okay. February 7th. Yeah.
Officially back at our regular time slot on Monday at noon. We've got dope content coming. If you're not following us on our social media platforms, make sure you hit us up. Those will be in the
bio.
Yeah.
Comments,
whatever. We've got a lot of dope stuff that's going to be happening this year. So thank you for riding with us last year and get ready for a dope ride this year. There's cool things all the way around.
Definitely cool things. And so, as we've seen and detailed in this episode, in life, things happen. You have the power to choose what you do. Probably choose wiser than Antonio Brown. So definitely choose wisely. But like Antonio has done, always bet on you. If you have been blessed by us, go ahead and bless us. We got another kid now. And there's more and more stuff that we really have planned for you guys. So exciting things to come. Thank you. Take care and enjoy the rest of your week.